Welcome everyone to another episode of Regular Guy Barbecue, brought to you by these guys right here. That's us, right? Yeah. Alright. We're going to be doing a little bit of a technique video today. Now, you guys have heard during all the other videos we've done of how important it is to keep moisture in the meats that you're low and slowing, because if you don't, you're going to be eating cardboard or shoe leather, right? We don't want to do that. That's no good for anybody. So, today we're going to be doing a loin, which we've done in the past. You've seen loin videos before, but we're going to show you the injecting techniques with a little bit more detail. That way you know kind of how to do this. Alright? Alright. Right? You good with that, Jack? He's good. So, in our bowl, we started off with about a teaspoon of crushed ground, let me say that again. In our bowl, we've got some cracked ground pepper, maybe a teaspoon of that, and a teaspoon of onion powder. Onion powder, got some. Onion powder. And we're going to add a couple of things to that to make our injection. Got some apple cider vinegar. We'll pour some of that in. Get rid of that. No, I can't do that. That's glass.
Yeah, we got dogs.
No, don't throw the glass. Not a good idea. Don't do that. And, of course, a little Worcestershire sauce. Probably got about 3 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar, maybe a tablespoon of the Worcestershire sauce. And we like our lemon juice and lime juice and a lot of things. So we'll add a couple of tablespoons of that. Limon. All right. One thing I like to use, because this is going to be in pork, is we like to use apple juice. So we're going to use that kind of as our base for our injection. So we're going to put in probably a cup or two. No, we'll go 2 cups. Why not? Huh? More is better. There we are. So there's some apple juice. So as you can see, most of this stuff is pretty thin, which we want, so it'll get into the meats. A few crumbs in there that won't dissolve, because some of that stuff doesn't. Now, here we've got an injector. Now, this is not a very expensive injector. Plastic, needle there, but pretty self-explanatory how these work. You suck up some of the juices in the bowl, you push them into the meat, okay? Nothing real fancy about that. This one was a couple of bucks at a store. Does just fine if you like those stainless steel fancy ones, because they hold up better and all that. Spend the money and get one, because if you're going to do this a lot, you're going to want one that lasts. This is just one that we happen to have nearby.
So why does it have the extra holes on it?
Why does it have the extra hole on it? That's actually the only hole. You notice, like with your medical tips, needles, the hole's down here at the end, right? Mm-hmm. This one's on the side. That way it'll kind of push the juices sideways in the meat.
Distribution?
Yeah.
That's why it's
distribution. Okay. I'm going to get the loin out here. We'll get that prepped. Show you how that works. Be right back. Here we go. All right, so here's our loin. Now, we've got this at one of our local stores. It's 8.27 pounds. So this one's just a little bit bigger than the one we did in our previous video, but that's all right. You can see there's quite a bit of moisture in there. It's chilly. Yeah, October's hit us hard, hasn't it, here? No.
We haven't gotten snow like farther north.
No, not that far away. We got some nasty snow, and for mid-October, that's kind of unusual for this part of the country, but it does happen. So, there you go. So here's our loin. If I can get it out of the package. Whee! The mascot's going to be happy when he's got some juice to have over here.
Oh, he already smells. Look at he is running.
What, that old dog is blind.
Look at him.
His nose works like there's no tomorrow. All right. So here's a pretty standard loin. Again, about a little over 8 pounds. You can see there's not an overwhelming amount of marbling in one of these things, but there is a fat cap on this one. This is one of the things why it's so important to make sure your moisture levels stay up on these things. So you got to do a little bit of work if you're going to low and slow and smoke one of these. So this is what we do. And you've seen us use other techniques like marinating, and the spritzing. You met Misty before, right? Yeah. And we're probably going to use Misty when we cook this thing tomorrow. We're just not going to use it right now. So I'm just trying to trim off some of this fat cap. Okay, now if you want to reference something about fat caps, go back and check out our brisket, 2-part brisket video, the one where I do the trimming on that thing. And I talk a lot about fat caps, why fat caps are important, why thick fat caps are bad, which we kind of got a fairly thick one on here, and gives you some of the pointers that we have for why we buy things with fat caps, why we trim fat caps, why you can leave fat caps on, why you can wear a fat cap on New Year's Eve so you look like a complete fool.
I mean, I wear one every day. My stomach.
I don't wear a fat cap, I wear a fat belly, but that's okay because I like to eat. Yeah. So, again, you can see that's pretty thick fat. And again, if you watch the other video, and I'll reiterate it in this one, I don't care how long you cook this thing for, you are not going to render all of that fat down into that meat. You will render some of it down in there. It'll take a long time, but you're never going to get it all. Never. Unless you're like magic or you wish really hard. It might happen, but otherwise maybe not.
You complain to the manager about
Yeah,
it.
if you're carrying it, yeah. So there you go. We're going to trim that last little bit off there. There we are. How's that look? Not too bad. I'm no professional. I'm just a guy that has a knife in his hand and a big slab of meat in front of him. So we're going to inject it from the meat side, not so much on the fat cap side, so we ain't got to fight to get through the fat cap. There we are. So now, injection technique. It's all about technique. Real simple to do. You just pull some juice up in there. See how there's juice in there? Put it in the meat where you want it. Give it a little squirt. You can kind of see the meat rise up as you put the juice in.
It's even coming through on the bottom here.
Sometimes that happens, and you're going to lose some of this as this thing refrigerates overnight, but that's okay. This is kind of an internal marinating technique, if you want to say it that way. It's also going to put more flavor into the meat than it is if you just, sprinkle the outside with your dry rubs. Dry rubs will get into the meat part way, but not all the way. So we like to just give this a little bit of extra zing in the middle. And when we do dry rub this one, go and cook it, our dry rub that we're going to be using does have brown sugar in it. So we got to get some sour, or some savory if you will, to go along with the sweet of that brown sugar. Use it.
Look at that bubbling over there.
It farted. So again, I'm using quite a few injections on this because I want to get the juices spread out real good.
Nice and juicy.
Nice and juicy like. Or as everybody's favorite word is. Should we say it?
Thick.
No.
No.
Moist.
What?
Moist.
Oh yeah, moist.
Moist. Never know why that bothers everybody, but whatever. Each their own. Okay, so one other thing we'll show you a little bit later on in this video when it gets to be tomorrow for us, not you in the video, but stuck.
It'll be the following week.
Yeah. No, I mean tomorrow in this video. It'll be instant for them, but tomorrow for us. When we go to cook this, we're probably going to hit it with the injection again. And I just want to do that because this is going to sit in the fridge overnight and do its thing. Mm-hmm. We having a little trouble getting some of this juice up. There we go. There's a little bit. So you get the idea, just spread the love. Get the injection all
Stab
through
it repeatedly.
Yeah. And I know some of the purists out there might say, but you've got so many holes in the meat now. It's wait, did you see that?
That came at me.
I think it's full.
Get that away from me.
A lot of the purists say, oh, but you're going to put so many holes in there, all your meat, your juices is going to run out of them holes. Yeah, well, you'll see.
Why we're doing it the day before.
Yeah. So that's kind of how you do an injection, okay? And you use the flavors that you like. If you don't like apple, do cherry juice. Don't do any juice. Use water. Whatever you want. So, next thing we're going to do is we prepared the bed. And now this pan we got used, it was old and decrepit. Unfortunately, it sprung a little tiny leak in it. So we've lined it with aluminum foil just to keep the tiny leak from not tiny leaking. Set it in there. There we are. And I might just... we'll just give them a little splash, just a little love. Just so it's got something to soak up. And then we're going to wrap this up, put the aluminum foil on it, put it in the fridge overnight, let it sleep. Tomorrow morning, or tomorrow at noon, I think we're going to start. But tomorrow, we're going to, what, you got something?
It's like, why aren't we regularly marinating this? And why are we doing the injection
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point. You can actually do both. You can actually marinate, inject, spritz, water pan. You can do all that stuff if you want to your grill. We're just doing this one just with the injection to just show that you don't have to marinate spritz.
Like, why would you do this over doing just the dry rub the night before?
You mean like a marinate the night before?
Yeah, or a marinate the night before.
Well, you can do this differently. Let's just pretend for a minute that you don't have overnight to marinate. What if you've only got a few hours before you got to start cooking? This is quick marinate. We happen to have the time, so we're going to put it overnight. But you can do that just a few hours before you start cooking.
Oh, he finally found it.
The mascot found the juices.
There he goes.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this thing up, put it to bed. We'll be back in the morning, afternoon.
See you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow to get to the cooking part, all right? Cool. All right, we're back. It's the next day, and it's time to cook this loin that we injected. So let's get our gloves on. Love glove. Let's see what we got. There's our loin. He slept very nicely in his little pan. There we go. Get out of the way. Get my head. So there it is. Okay. Now, as I told you earlier in the video, we're going to inject this again today. And we're not going to show you all that, but just so you know what we're doing, we're going to inject it again. Just to make sure we got lots of moisture. Woo! Did you get that? Came right at you.
It's definitely full.
Definitely full. That's good. So that means we probably won't do a lot of injecting this time around, because we know that there's plenty of juice in there. But we'll make sure that there's a little bit more just to... There we go. We got that popper on there. Oh, yeah. You guys getting hungry yet? I know I sure am. Alright, so there's a little more injection for you. Alright? Looks pretty good. So we're going to put some dry rub on this, just because I like dry rub. And what we're doing on this one today, like we did in the last loin that we did, is we've got our kettle grill, old King Kong set up, with charcoal on either side of the grate. And we're going to cook our meat down the middle. That way we get to offset heating, the low and slow. And we're ready to go. We're also going to be using some hickory wood to give us a little bit of smoke flavor. All right? I don't have any hickory in there yet, but we're just getting things started. We've got our pan down below, moisture pan, which you've seen in other videos. Today we put a little bit of our marinade that we used in another video that's got some orange soda, some ginger, some onions, jalapeno peppers, apple juice, and some other seasonings that are inside there. We're just using some of that left over so we can recycle it. So let's put a little bit of dry rub on this guy. Now, again, the dry rub we did in another video, this has got your little salt, the peppers, brown sugar, red pepper flake, some garlic powder, you know, all the goodies that we like to use on a regular basis. But you use the dry rub that you like. It gives you the flavors that you want. Now, when we're doing pork, the mascot's kind of barking at a lot of people, but that's all right. He won't hurt nobody. This dry rub happens to have, man, I got to get that English language down. This one happens to have brown sugar in it. Now, we don't use brown sugar on everything that we cook, but we like to use it on pork because I think it adds a nice flavor to pork. We don't use it on briskets. We don't use it on poultry. Not too much brown sugar on those guys. But again, if you like them on there, hey, the only wrong way you can do this is not doing it the way you want.
If you don't like it, then use it wrong.
That's right. If I don't want to do it that way, I don't like it that way, then don't do it. The rules are all yours. You set it up the way you want to do it. That's how the best way is. There's a little dry rub on there. Pat it in so it sticks. And pretty self-explanatory, right? This goes right in the middle. There we are. Fits just perfect in that 22-inch grill, huh? Look at that. There's a little more dry rub. Now the only other thing we're going to do with this guy, other than probably flip him halfway through, is we're probably going to do a little bit of misting on it, a little bit of spritz, just to help keep that moisture level up. Now remember, this one didn't have any marinade. Normally we'd marinate, but we're doing a different technique today using the internal marinade known as injection. Let me grab a couple pieces of hickory quick. There's our hickory. Now you can buy this stuff at any of your stores. You know, we go to our local hardware store and buy this stuff, and I need something to open that grate because that sucker is hot.
Safety first.
Safety last when you ain't got the money.
Safety third.
Safety third or fourth, yeah. So we're gonna open that up. We're gonna throw a little piece of, actually a big piece of hickory in there.
That ain't closing.
That ain't gonna close. I'm gonna just move it over a little bit, that'll be all right.
Jimmy.
Come on, you jerk. There we go. Well, I am just, there we go. That's all we need. And on the other side.
So hot it's even discoloring the metal.
Yeah. Well, this is our brand new grate. You watched another video that we did about our barrel smoker. We took the old grate off of this one, and we used it in our barrel smoker to add another level, so we could cook more things at once.
Why is that great?
It's great, isn't it? So we have a brand new grate on this one, and we didn't oil it. Probably should have. Pay the price later, right? Right. Always remember, oil your grates before you use them. And I didn't do that because I'm dumb. All right, so we're going to be looking at about 275 to 300 degrees, somewhere in that general neighborhood for our cook on this guy. And we're going to cook it down to about 150, 155 degrees, which is about medium. We're not going to cook it to 165 because we don't need to with the loin. We also want to do a wrap at the end of it, and I'll show you that later on in the video. In the meantime, we're going to let it just do its thing in there with the smoke. We will come back, we'll show you the brief video on the spritzing and the flipping, and then we'll show you the results. Okay. So we can't get the sprayer to work, but that's all right. So what we're going to do, we'll just cheat. We'll just drizzle a little bit on the top, you know. Necessity is the mother of intervention, right? No, that's all right. That does the same thing. So we just add a little moisture to it. It's coming along nicely, probably another hour. We're going to do it again. We won't show you that because that's boring. And then we'll show you the end results with that guy. All right? So we're probably about halfway through the cook, an hour and a half or so into this one. Again, time isn't of the essence when you're doing these. It's really when the meat's done, it's done. We're going to take a look at that. You can see that loin is cooking down real nicely. Color's coming in real good. Our only objective here is to flip this thing, and I probably should have grabbed another flipper, but that's all right. We'll make it work. You can see there's lots of moisture in there. Got nice color on it. Look at this. Take a look at that.
Look at the skin right there.
Yeah, it's kind of looking good, huh? Yeah. So I'm going to add a little more of our spritz without the spritzer because our spritzer doesn't spritz right now.
It's just kind of meh.
Misty took the day off.
It's meh instead of misty.
Yeah, so you can see our drip pan still got a lot of juice in there to keep the moisture up. We add a little bit more moisture to it just because. And we're going to add just a little more dry rub. Just to give us a little more flavor. That's really good.
Smoky.
Smoke gets in your eyes when you're barbecuing, right? Now we were running about 300 degrees. I turned the heater down, or turned the vents down a little bit so we lose a little bit of heat. Not a big deal. Looks like we're getting down on the heat a little bit. So we're just gonna run our vents open a little bit. Let it continue on to do its job. We'll check in about another hour again, see how it's coming along. We'll probe it at that time, see what our temperature is, see if we're getting close to where we want to be, and go on to the next step. All right, so as you guys can imagine, when you're cooking outside, a lot of what you got going on is predetermined by the weather, right? So we've been fighting a little bit with temperatures and things today, but we're doing okay. So we're going to check the injection temperature, or the temperature of our meat here, and you can see we're about 137, 138. So we're a little lower than what we want to be. And again, we did lose one side of our charcoal. The fire actually went out. And when it's cold like this, you got to fight with that sometimes. So we're going to get the temperature ramped back up again. We're going to give it a little more spritz. And we'll come back and check on it in about 20, 30 minutes. Yeah, let's do it. There we are. All right, we'll be back soon. Video. So our meat has been probed and we're running right at 150 degrees, which is right where we want to be. The grill's still running about 325 degrees, and that's going to be just fine. So there you can take a look at what we got. You can see how much juice is still in this guy. Now, all the techniques that we used are holding their own, doing a good job. Well, now we're going to do a little bit of Texas cheat on it. And the reason we're going to do that is just so the aluminum foil can blow away in the wind, because it's cold and windy here. The reason we're going to do that is we just want to lock that juice in, make sure everything stays in where we want it to be. We want to cook it just a little bit longer, not much. Boy, this thing's so big and heavy I can hardly get a hold of it. It's so big. She said. There we are. All right. Now, I'm gonna cut the lid down so we keep it in there for a minute. Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, that smells so good.
All right. So now we're gonna do again. You've seen us do this before. You see other people do this before. We're just gonna wrap this thing up. And we've got a little time that we need to buy. We've got some other things we're cooking for, and some of our folks aren't here just yet. So we're just going to wrap it up and make it happy. Lock in those juices so we don't lose any more juices, which we shouldn't. We did it right, right, right. Back on the smoker it goes, just to keep it warm for a while. Let it finish cooking. That's all wrapped up. It's probably going to stay on there for half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on when everybody gets here. That'll keep it warm. When that gets done going for, like I said, about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, we're going to take it off, wrap it in towels, let it rest. So all that juice can render down into the meat and be ready to eat. So I'll be back. So we've got on here about a half hour or so. You can see she's just sitting in there doing her thing. Next thing we're going to do, it's hot. Oh, it's hot, man. It's on the grill.
It's on the grill.
It's on the grill and it's hot. So we're going to take this guy and wrap him up in a blanket.
Cause it's cold out.
Or in this case, a towel. Well, you don't want him to get cold. So, I'm going to wrap that up. And wrap it up. And we're just going to let him rest right there for probably another half hour or so, something like that. All right, so there he is. We'll show you back what that looks like in a little bit. Okay, gang, so our tenderloin, or excuse me, our loin has been sitting for about 30 minutes wrapped up in the blankets. So we're going to check out and see what our final results look like. You guys ready for this? I know I sure am. I got some people that are hungry and ready to eat. Oh, come on, you. Don't stick around. There we go. Oh, yeah. Smell it. Oh, look at that tomato. Yeah, look at that, huh? What do you think? Does that make you hungry? If it don't, you're on the wrong channel. Wow, where did... Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so we're going to get this off of here and get it on our cutting board and get it ready to play. Oh, look at that. Needed some help. Yeah, I need an extra pair of hands. We could roll that up and get that in the gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, there we are. What do you think? Does it look pretty good?
Yeah.
Looks all right, huh? Let's see how the middle looks. Now we've got a guest here that we're going to let her have the first sample.
Wait out to see. Oh my
There, what do you think of that?
The smoke is horrible.
Come on over here for a minute.
Taste the juices.
Go ahead. See what you think.
Can you
see
take this? I can't.
I can't breathe. What do you think? How's it taste?
Pretty
Acceptable. All right. So we're going to cut this into about 1-inch medallions. Just because that's the way we're going to serve it. Serve it a little bit like a steak, a little bit like a pork chop would be. There we go. So you've seen us do this part before. We're not going to bore you to tears of cutting it up and wrapping it up and getting it ready to eat. But we got some hungry people here, so we're going to get things done. Make sure everybody's getting fed properly today. I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. Regular Guy Barbecue. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, mash the notification button so you know every time that we're going to come on and give you another fantastic video. Thanks for joining us, everybody.